What's up, everybody? Welcome back to round 4 of my VGC'15 UK regionals matches. This was against Tom Bensley. Unfortunately, no Twitter or YouTube channel. And his full team was Hydreigon, Goodra, Klefki, Talonflame, Politoed, and Scizor. I was quite worried about the Politoed and the Talonflame, but he actually brought the 4 pokes that I wasn't really that worried about. And I ended up bringing Heatran, Thundurus in the lead, and then Kangaskhan, Ludicolo in the back. Ludicolo, obviously, to deal with that rain. It deals with Goodra quite nicely with Ice Beam. It deals with Hydreigon quite nicely with Ice Beam. It doesn't really do anything to Scizor or Klefki other than scald them to try and get the burn. But overall, Ludicolo was putting in work no matter what against his team. It beats Politoed. It can beat his Ludicolo because Rain Ludicolo tends to lose to Assault Vest Ludicolo. I also brought Kangaskhan because I thought that would put in work against his team. Unfortunately for me, he didn't end up bringing his Politoed, so I was trying to get some hits off on the Politoed, get that thing dead with Kangaskhan as quickly as possible. I also brought Thundurus because I wanted to be able to taunt him. I thought that being able to taunt Klefki was really, really important. And finally, Heatran, because it deals with Scizor, it deals with Klefki, and even if it's in the rain, I can stall out rain with Protect, and then I can try and get some damage off with Heatran. So that was my logic. That was my idea of why I did that. I did lead off with Heatran and Thundurus. I did predict a Klefki lead, and I thought that a Scizor lead was actually quite likely against my team. And he ended up leading Klefki Scizor, which could not have gone better. This is the perfect lead matchup for me. Now, the thing about Scizor is it can actually beat Heatran with the superpower. And I was worried about Klefki, like, Thunder Waving my Heatran, getting fully paralyzed, and then being knocked out by the Scizor. I thought that would be a really, really bad thing to happen. So I went for the completely safe play. I wasn't about to get hacked. And I went for the Protect and then the Taunt onto Klefki. I ended up outspeeding the Klefki, so I could have just taunted and then Heat Waved, and I would have been actually in a better position than I did end up. But he goes for the superpower. Obviously, I protect myself, and unknown to him, I am a max speed timid Heatran. Most people assume if you have Protect, you're the bulky variant of Heatran. But no, unknown to him, I am max speed timid. I am going to outspeed his Mega Scizor no matter what, and I'm going to hit it up with this Heat Wave and knock it out, which I was really, really happy with. Taking out this Mega Scizor was great for me, especially since Kang in the back does get knocked out by superpower and doesn't do very much damage because Scizor resists most, if not all of my attacks. What do I have on Kang? It doesn't resist Power Up Punch, but other than that, it resists everything. I go for the Thunderbolt onto Goodra, and it does end up paralyzing, which I was quite happy with, and my opponent goes into Hydreigon. So now I've got Hydreigon Goodra against my Heatran Thundurus, which is not a great matchup for me, so I'm going to switch my Kangaskhan in place of my Thundurus. I didn't really want to lose my Thundurus just yet. He still has that Klefki in the back, and of course I can protect Heatran just to get this sort of safe switch. It was a pretty safe switch for me. He goes for the Earth Power onto Heatran. That was a little bit obvious, and then he actually goes for the Ice Beam onto the Thundurus slot, which in hindsight was a little obvious, but it ended up working out just fine because it doesn't do much damage to Big Mama. It's not a very, very strong move. I'm going to go into Scrooge here instead of Heatran because obviously he's spamming Earth Powers on my Heatran. I'm not about to reveal that Shucker Berry just yet. I wasn't actually too interested in revealing that Shucker Berry this battle at all until it was absolutely needed to be revealed, if it came down to that. But anyway, the Big Mama goes for Protect. Also, at that point, I was practicing for best of 3. I know that all these matches were best of 1, but if you can avoid revealing an item like Shucker Berry, it's a really good thing to do for best of 3s. So he ends up getting fully paralyzed with his Goodra, which really does suck, and obviously I protect the Kangaskhan, so nothing happens to that. He's going to go for the Earth Power onto Kanga again, which I think was a good play on his part, because he needs to get as much damage off on Kanga as he can, but at the same time he's allowing me to Power Up Punch his Hydreigon pretty much free, because Goodra isn't doing much, and it is paralyzed as well, so there is that chance of being fully paralyzed, which obviously is hacks, and it really does suck. But he ends up going for, he ends up flinching with the Goodra because I faked it out, and I get the Power Up Punch onto his Hydreigon, and he goes for the switch. He goes for the switch into Klefki, trying to get those light screens up, or trying to get the defenses up. I'm going to go for the Sucker Punch onto Goodra. Obviously, at +2, this is going to knock out Goodra. There was no way Goodra was ever going to even imagine living a +2 Sucker Punch from an Adamant Mega Kangaskhan, and I'm going to knock the Goodra out. This is, by the way, this tournament is the last time I'm using Mega Kangaskhan. I'm fed up with it. I'm bored of it. I'm going to be using different Megas in all my future tournaments, basically. Anyway, he goes into Hydreigon here. He's got Klefki Hydreigon here. I'm going to go for the Sucker Punch onto the Hydreigon because I thought that was my best play. I was really hoping it would knock it out, but it does live with a sliver of health, and it is going to be able to get a Dark Pulse off. First of all, his Klefki is going to Thunder Wave my Kangaskhan. I thought that was a bit of a mistake as a play. I thought maybe Light Screen would have been better, or I don't know. I don't think it was the best play ever. But anyway, he goes with the Dark Pulse onto my Scrooge, and obviously I'm Assault Vest. I eat it up. I'm going to go for the Ice Beam. I'm going to take out his Hydreigon, and it's dead. It's dead. Hydreigon's dead. He's normal. He's normal. Dead normal. Dead Hydreigon is normal. Anyway, he's just got his Klefki now. He is going to foul play Kangaskhan. That was a little obvious. I probably should have protected just to keep it alive, just to troll, or maybe to score Hor, but it really wasn't worth it, especially with Heatran in the back. I'm just going to go for the Scald onto the Klefki, do as much damage as possible, and then with the Heatran in the back, obviously I have Overheat. I can just hit Overheat straight onto the Klefki. I decided to go into Thunderous. I'm not quite sure why. I think to taunt it, but it wasn't my best play. Heatran was by far my best play. It would have killed it that turn. So I end up actually wasting a turn here. He goes for the foul play onto Thunderous. It does nothing. I go for another Scald, and I end up wasting a turn. As I said, this battle went on an extra turn. So bad plays there, letting this battle drag on into the 10th turn when I should have ended it in turn 9 with a nice Overheat from Heatran, which I did have in the back. It was completely pointless and a bad play overall. Just silly. Silliness and wasting time. But overall, there was no way he could beat me, so it didn't really matter. And that was the end of round 4. That put me at 2-2 in this competition, and I was back in with the sliver of a hope of getting into top cut. Obviously, you needed a minimum of 6-2 to get into top cut, and you needed to have good resistance. At this point, because I'd lost 2 games in a row early on, I was very unlikely to end up with good resistance, so it was very, very unlikely, even if I won all of my future matches, which, as I've said before, I did not do. Even with all of those wins, I probably still wouldn't have made top cut. But it was a good battle against Tom. I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys did too. And I will be back with the next episode shortly.